During the war with Byzantium, King Krepimir occupied 4 cities in Dalmatia that were under Byzantine protection until then, namely Dubrovnik, Split, Trogir and Zadar. These cities are in fact liberated from Byzantine rule in 827. Cities on the Kvarner Islands are not mentioned, and since Kvarner and Istria were already part of Serbia, it can be concluded that Krk and Osor were liberated earlier. After losing the coastal cities, Byzantium officially entered into alliance with Prussian Empire against Serbia. We only know that at that time Byzantium and the Holy Roman Empire were the 2 strongest powers in Europe and probably in the world. Still, King Krepimir will emerge victorious from the war on both sides. His great victory of the Byzantine army near Shkodra and in 828 was especially significant. It should be known that Serbia encompassed the whole of today's Albania in the south, and that Vodena is mentioned as a Serbian city. Vodena is located today in a part of Macedonia under Greece. Patriarch of Constantinople, Nicholas III, testifies that Byzantium did not cross west of Thessalonica until 807. Emperor Nicephor I, thanks to the naval victories over Prussians in 806, established Byzantine supremacy over Venice and Dalmatian cities. The following year, Nicephor occupied the southern Serbian regions all the way to the Macha River. With the victory over Emperor Michael II in 828, King Krepimir returned to the south everything that the Byzantines had taken in 807. At the same time as Byzantium attacked Serbia from the south, a Prussian army referred to as Germanic or Alemannic attacked Serbia from the northwest and entered Istria and Japodia. Krepimir raised a large army against these attackers, beat them and expelled them from Serbia. That victory over Prussians happened after the victory over Byzantium in 829, and the main battle was fought in Istria. Only after that victory, Krepimir was able to send more help to the Croats in western Pannonia, so they, with help of the Serbian army, got rid of the Prussian authorities in 831. In 832, the Croatian leader Porga asked priests from Serbia to come and baptize his people. In order to help or to interfere in that, Pope Gregory IV sent some Serbian-speaking priests to the Archbishop of Split, Peter III, and from that it can be concluded that Croats from western Pannonia already spoke Serbian at that time. In the same year, Porga died, and new leader of Croats, who some say had the rank of duke, was called Mislav. The Serbian prefect in western Slavonia, based in Sisak, a contemporary of these events, was Ratimir, 829 to 838. After a series of defeats on the battlefield, the Holy Roman German Empire sought ways to establish peace and friendship with Serbia, so for this purpose a relative of Emperor Ludwig offered his daughter hand to Krepimir's son Svetorad. The Serbs accepted this offer, and Svetorad married the Princess of Fruška, and on that occasion peace was established between Serbia and Fruška. The new prefect of Nin, was successor of Borna, was Vladislav, 821 to 835. We cannot say for him whether he was Serb or Croat. Emperor Ludwig of Fruška also recognized Vladislav's title of prefect as hereditary, although he was not his vassal, but King Krepimir appointed him to that position. However, with the diocese of Nin, headed by one chaplain for the Croats, remained under the administration of Rome, and all other dioceses on the territory of Serbia were under administration of Constantinople. Dalmatian Croats had neither religious nor political ties with Pannonian Croats. They were completely separated. As for the Pannonian Croats, after the liberation from Prussian governments, we do not know whether they recognized the supreme power of King of Serbia or were only in an alliance with Serbia. One thing is for certain, there were quite strong ties with Serbia, and they were under Serbian protection. King Svetorad, 840 to 858. The great King Krepimir was succeeded in powerful and well-organized Serbia by his son Svetorad. In the same year that he came to the throne, Serbia had a conflict with Venice. The trading and maritime state of Venice, which the Serbs called the Venetians, was a great naval power at that time. The Venetians were allies of Byzantium and, like Byzantium, sought to gain power over some of the Dalmatian islands. This led to a naval war between Serbia and Venice in 840. The commander of the Serbian war fleet was Duke Družak from Neretva. Most of the Serbian navy consisted of Neretva residents who were known as best sailors among Serbs. In one great battle on the high seas, the Serbs defeated the Venetians and expelled them from Serbian islands. Another great danger also arose from the sea, from the Arabs. After the Arab victory over the Byzantine and Venetian navies in the Gulf of Taranto in 841, the Arab navy and merchant navy sailed across the Adriatic all the way to Trieste. Družak sailed again with the Serbian naval force in 841, destroyed an entire Arab naval navy. After those great naval victories, Serbia was at peace, and King Svetorad is spoken as a gentle, good and just ruler. During the reign of King Svetorad, we have some information about Croats in southern Poland and the Czech Republic. The Arab travel writer Ibn Rustah, in his word Al-Yarmi from 842, writes that the Croatian ruler is being crowned and his country is in the middle of a Slavic country. The ruler is called Svet Malik, which, according to his interpretation, should mean the ruler of the ruler. His deputy is called Subanj, and his city where he sits is called Državab. Another Arab writer, Kardizi, a contemporary of Rustah, says that Croatian capital is called Yarvat. An unknown Persian geographer mentions a Croatian city such as Irvad, Irvt, and Hordad. From all this, it is clear that the Croats in the north, unlike the Croats in Dalmatia and western Pannonia, who were already Serbs at that time, retained all the characteristics of Asian people. Malik or Melek is the name for a lord, ruler, king, or similar among the people in the Middle East and Central Asia. And that meaning of the title ruler of rulers also originates from Central Asia and is completely foreign to the Serbian and European world. Even today in Iran, the ruler is called Shahin Shah, which means the ruler of the ruler. The names of Croatian cities such as Yarvat, Irvad, and Hordad are also names specific to Central Asia. Contemporary Croatian historians believe that Croats are originally from Iran. According to current level of historical knowledge, it is not possible to determine exactly their existence, whether it is Iran or a neighboring country in Central Asia. The only thing that can be proven now is that they originate from these areas. Determining the place of their origin in a narrower sense is not the subject to these books. For the Croats in Dalmatia, King Svetorad appointed the prefect Trpimir, 845-864, who had the title of Prefect of Croats. This was something new, because it can be concluded from the title that he was the prefect of all Croats in Dalmatia, not just of Nin parish. He did not even stay in Nin, but in several places, mostly in purely Serbian cities, and his parish did not have a separate Croatian territory. He was the prefect of Croats regardless of where they were.